Hey there. Thank you for joining me today. I wanted to talk about a spiritual practice that I think is so important for us as we are in this unique time right now. Um, in some ways, we have more time on our hands than ever before, um, especially if you're not allowed to go into work. Um, you, we can't be going out socializing the way that we normally have been. We are kind of stuck at home, and I know for my family that means I'm able to go out a few hours each day to go into my office to take care of some business for the church, but otherwise I am at home. And my wife's pretty much at home. Our daughters are almost always at home right now. It gives us a lot of time, but all that time seems to be taken up almost instantly. Sometimes it's taken up with trying to get the girls to do something educational. Sometimes it's taken up with some chores that Christine and I might want to do. Sometimes it's taken up with little house projects that we've kind of been thinking about for a while. A lot of the time it's taken up with trying to get to the next moment, hoping that we can find some moment of peace. And I'm sure that a lot of you are feeling that way. I'm sure that a lot of us have been watching way more Netflix than we probably should be during this time. Hopefully, some of you are reaching out to each other. You're calling each other. You are doing what you can to check on family and friends to make sure that you let people know that you love and care about them. But in all of this massive stuff that's going on right now, it is so easy for us to not take advantage of what Richard Foster calls the small silences, everyday silences. In his book, The Celebration of Discipline, he talks about the importance of silence and solitude for our regular lives. That silence and solitude are important because they allow us to see the value in everything around us. Being in silence allows us to not value our words for the way that they kind of control. Silence allows us to value our words and the noise around us as a blessing that God's given to us instead of just part of life. Silence allows us to see in another person not someone else to be debated or to be talked around, but a human to be valued. And silence can be one of the most calming spiritual disciplines that there is. Silence, it's been shown, silence can help release tension. When you're in silence, you're able to focus better. And sometimes there's kind of too much silence where you're left alone to yourself, and all of a sudden you feel like you hear a little too well. And I completely get that. But right now we have these beautiful moments throughout the day where you can take what are called the small silences and you can use them to help you move away some of the distraction. Maybe it's stepping outside for just a brief moment, especially when the weather is nicer today. I know it's a little cold. It's a little bit rainy in some spots. But when the weather is nicer, sun's shining, it's not too cold for you, maybe go outside, listen to the birds that are chirping, maybe listen to some wind chimes that might be going off around you, maybe just get outside and remind yourself of the beauty of God's creation that surrounds you. Or if nothing else, get outside into the silence to give yourself 1 minute or 5 minutes or 10 minutes away from all of the chaos that's surrounding us. Just 5 minutes away from your phone that's constantly showing you updates on the pandemic that's going on. Just 5 minutes away from maybe children that are constantly at you all the time. It seems like they never stop making a noise, that they never stop making a sound. 5 minutes away from all of the mess that is life right now. 5 minutes that reminds you that there's a God who is beyond all of this, who's by nature outside all of this, and yet chose to become part of all of this when Jesus, who is God, became one of us and entered all of this mess. And then Jesus said that we will have trouble. We can take heart because he's overcome the world. So we're going to take a few moments of silence. I'm going to turn the camera around. I have a beautiful tree right here. You'll be able to hear the birds that are chirping around me without me talking over them. And I just want to give us a couple minutes of that kind of silence. Maybe you hear the birds chirping, you think about the fact that Jesus said that God knows every single bird. There's not a single bird that falls from the sky that God does not know. And at that time, you could buy 2 sparrows for a penny. I mean, they're a dime a dozen. But God knows each and every one of those sparrows and is watching over each one of those sparrows. They don't worry about when they will eat next. They don't worry about their shelter. They don't worry about what next horrible thing might happen to them. And if God cares that much about the birds, surely God cares at least that much, if not more, about you. So let's take a couple moments to enjoy this small silence that God has blessed us with.